All right, good. We're live. We're ready to go. All righty, let's go ahead and get started then. Well, howdy everybody. Welcome to our December meeting of the Google User Group. We've got some brave souls here today. What was the weather like for you guys this morning? Roads slippery? Now you came from the west, so... Oh, well, really though? Yeah, okay, because I always picture you being over there on the west.
Yeah,
but
I have to go to
yeah, okay. Was it worse south or anywhere else? I mean, because there were some delays this morning, weren't there? Most of you guys had delays? Oh, you guys did? Yeah, so I was thinking south, maybe we had some issues down there. But, yeah, it is December, and it's Ohio, so that means it could be snow, freezing rain, could be all kinds of different things. And this morning we do have some really slick roads. What's it like for you up there, Anthony?
It was a little bit slick roads, and the gravel walkway up to the building here had a nice slick coat on it. It was like climbing up marbles.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I didn't think it was all that bad until I got out of my car here in the parking lot and just about laid myself out. I was like, oh, hey, wait, there's ice here. So thank you to everybody who has joined us here this morning. And those that are watching live online, and those that are going to watch this later on as a recording, welcome to you too. This is our December Google User Group meeting, and my name is Eric, and I'm joined, as always, by my colleague Anthony. Anthony, why don't you say hi to everybody, introduce yourself, say where you're at today. Where is the Traveling Anthony show at today?
I'm at Streetsboro today in the luxurious office of the Springfield Technology Department. I'm sorry, Springfield. Streetsboro. Let me try that again.
That's fine.
High school far away, and I got the wrong S there. My brain is frozen.
Well, there we go. That is fantastic. Well, thanks for always going up to Portage County, Anthony, and providing a location up there where people can meet. I'm going to go ahead and start right away by sharing my screen and pulling up our agenda, and we're going to jump right into this today. So let me get this fired up here, and there we go. Everybody should see that now. Excellent. So as always, we have a Google User Group meeting the third Friday of each month. We're going to probably try to stick with that. Seems to be working well. Typically, we'll do these in the mornings around 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So people are always welcome to join us in person or online. We do meet at two locations, the Stark County Educational Service Center, Spark offices here in Canton, Ohio, and then Anthony goes somewhere up in Portage County to make it easy for folks up there to join in as well. So you can see on our agenda, we do try to always indicate that on the agenda where the meetings are going to be if you'd like to go in person to those, but we also always throw in a link to the online video as well. So if for some reason the weather does get bad or you can't get out of the office or whatever, hey, feel free to just fire us up online there and watch the video live and participate that way. We already did our quick little welcomes there. Again, my name's Eric and joined by Anthony. We're both technology integration specialists here at Spark, and you can get all of our contact information there in the agenda if you'd like to get in touch with us. As always, we're going to run through real quick just a couple important links. We do give a certificate of attendance, and I did send them out. Did you guys get them? Okay, good. It was a little bit late, sorry. I was like, oh yeah, we've got a whole another meeting tomorrow. Maybe I better send out the last ones I haven't sent out yet. So here's the way it works. If you attend these meetings either in person or if you watch them online, fantastic either way, you can get a certificate of attendance that you could then turn into your LPDC for, you know, an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever the meeting is. So we do have a link in the agenda there that you can always click on, and that'll take you out to the sign-in form. Put in your first name, last name, email address, your school district, pick the date of the meeting. I'll try to always keep that up to date so you can choose the most recent meeting and then pick where it was that you attended the meeting, Spark, Streetsboro, or viewed online. And I'll be a lot quicker in the future about getting those certificates sent out to you guys. So definitely do that. In addition to all that, a couple of other quick little things we want to mention. We do have our Spark Google User Group community site that you can always plug into if you have not joined yet. And that's where you'll find announcements of new things that have come out from Google. That's where we'll talk about upcoming events, trainings, but it's where you guys can share things too. This is a community where we want people to be able to participate. It's not just for Anthony and I to say, oh, here's the latest thing. It's a great place for you to ask questions, to post resources, and so I definitely encourage you guys to plug into the Spark Google User Group community if you have not done so already. A couple other key links here. We do have our Google resource site that has loads and loads and loads of useful handouts and videos and training guides, but that's also where you can get to our Google User Group meeting schedule. So if you want to make sure, well, when is the next one? Right there on that Google User Group resource site, we have our information about the user group meetings, and that's where you'll find the full schedule. We've got them scheduled through May. I'm not sure what we're going to do in the summer yet. I haven't figured that out yet, but we've got links to the live videos. We've got links to the agenda, and afterwards I will always try to put up a YouTube link for the recorded video. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, I don't think I had mentioned this. I think I just figured this out last time. Let me open up the YouTube video from the last meeting, and I'll pause it. I won't actually let it play here. I want to show you something that we did differently. I'm going to try it again, and hopefully it'll work well this time as well. These are long meetings. I mean, they're like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and so maybe you're like, oh, I really want to catch some of that, but I don't necessarily want to listen to Eric talk for 2 hours. I just want to jump into the spot that's important to me. So what you'll notice is below the YouTube video, where you have your description there's a little see more button or show more button. If you click that, it expands out. And what I've done is I've put in the full agenda for what we did in the meeting, and YouTube has this really, really cool feature. Maybe this should be like a tip of the week kind of thing. If you, in the description, if you just type in the time of when something is happening, YouTube automatically turns that into a hyperlink that will jump you to that spot in the video. So all of these times here are actually, if I come in here, you see I just typed those in. Those are just, I just typed in the different times of when things happened during the video. And then if somebody were to come in and say, oh, I just really, really, really wanted to learn about using form limiter. That's the thing that I wanted to catch. They could come in here and just click right on that time, and it would shoot you to, whoop, I'll pop there. It will shoot you right to that specific spot, and boom, it'll jump you right into that spot of the video. So hopefully that'll be really useful for folks who maybe don't need to catch everything in the meeting, or if you just wanted to review a certain spot, you won't be searching forever to find it. So I'll try to keep doing that, and hopefully that's useful. A nice way to narrow in on just the spot that you want. So again, as always, all that stuff is available on our Spark Google our Spark Google resource site, which is at google.apps.spark.org. Definitely plug into all of those. Those links are all available in the agenda there. And there's a bunch of other useful links in there as well. We have updated our tech integration site. So if you had gone in the past to our tech integration site, it was really not very full. It was just kind of a page. It was just a page that said, hi, we're Eric and Anthony, and here's some things we do. Well, we do have a brand new tech integration page now, and so when you get some time, I definitely encourage you to go visit our new tech integration page. It's ti.apps.spark.org. So for tech integration. And you're going to find loads of stuff there, including our schedule for all of our upcoming webinars, past recorded webinars, ways to contact us, other useful links to jump out to things that we do. So definitely take advantage of that. And finally, don't forget we have a Google user group for the entire state of Ohio as well. That's called GEG Ohio, Google Educator Group of Ohio. And we always encourage people to also join that. That way you broaden out beyond just the Spark area to also connect with educators all over the state of Ohio that are using Google Apps. All right, so hopefully I didn't spend too much time on that, but just enough to get you guys connected to those important and helpful links. And I guess that I should have taken a look if these numbers had changed, but the next section we always talk about is some quick updates, and we do mention the current member counts as of yesterday anyway. Our Spark Google user group was at 291 members, and the GEG Ohio was at 365. So a wonderful, great, big group of educators there for everybody to plug into. All right. Before I head into the upcoming events, I did want to say one thing. Later in the session, we are going to talk about predictions for 2015. That's sort of one of my little theme for this time. And so if you didn't notice this earlier, I did throw up a few posts, but I've also linked it in way, way, way down later on in the document. Google predictions for 2015. I put together a quick form and asked people if you thought of something that you would love, either a Christmas wish or a New Year's prediction of what you would love to see Google do in 2015 for Google Apps for Education. There's still time. You can still throw something in there. I've collected a bunch of suggestions from folks, but I'll take another peek at it when we get close to that spot. And if anybody here would like to throw something in, that would be great. If you don't want to type it in, if you just want to share it, that's fine too. For those of you guys that are here, there'll be some time. I'd love to hear what you guys think might happen in 2015 with Google Apps. So just wanted to let you know that ahead of time in case anybody wanted to throw something in there before we got to that. Let me pause there for a second. Anthony, anything else before we move into upcoming events? I don't want to skip over something that I forgot to announce.
Well, I just wanted to mention, someone asked me if this was applicable to their LDPC because there was a question. So if your LDPC has any questions about these sessions, please feel free to have them contact Eric and I, and we'll explain what they are.
All right, excellent. Yeah, that makes sense. We can definitely give them full information about what's covered in these meetings, and so hopefully it will meet the criteria that your LPDC has for giving you hours. Excellent.
Our attendance as Maureen came in.
Hello.
Hey, Maureen, nice to have you with us today. That is fantastic. Thanks for being with us.
We appreciate you guys coming here to host it for Portage County.
Yes, great. Good deal. All right. Well, as always, Anthony, interrupt me at any point and any time. Jump in, holler. And actually, we're going to jump back and forth here in a second when we talk about upcoming events. I'll be asking you to talk about your webinars that are coming up here in just a moment. So I'll lead into that, and then I'll throw it over to you, and you can share what you'll be doing with your webinars here in just a bit. So that's the next thing I wanted to mention real quick is upcoming events. Now, we started in December our first attempts at doing webinars, and so we're going to, I thought it went well. Did anybody get a chance to catch the one on Google Drawings for graphic organizers? Anybody in here? You did? Okay. If you haven't, that was the experiment. So last month, or this, I guess earlier this month, I'm already losing track of my time. Earlier this month, I ran our first webinar on, this one was using Google Drawings to create graphic organizers, and I think it went really well. We didn't have too much difficulty. Unfortunately, Anthony was going to have one on Gmail, and that one we did run into snags that night, so he is going to still run it. Perhaps next week he'll give us some information on that. So we did run into some technical difficulties on that, but it seemed to go really well. And so what we want to let you know is that we're going to continue doing this. So each month we hope to have 2, 3, maybe 4 different webinars, and you can, just like these meetings, watch them live. If you want to ask questions and participate and plug in, we won't have like a live studio audience. It won't be like that, like this, but you can watch the video live while it's going on, or as always, you can just watch the recording afterwards. So here's some of the information on that. First of all, you can always get to our previous recordings at our new tech integration page. Now, there's not much there right now, obviously. If I go to our tech integration page and I go to the previous, or to the recorded training section, you only have the one from this month, which was Google Drawings for graphic organizers, but we're going to arrange them by date and by topic. So they'll be alphabetical and they'll be by date. So hopefully that'll help you find them a little bit easier. But basically, if you go to that page, what you'll see is this is the recorded training from that session. So you'll get a description for the session, you'll get the actual video that you can play. They're typically an hour long. We're going to shoot for that. And then if there's any resources, help guides, slideshows, in this case I had a bunch of sample drawings that I put in a folder for people to use as templates. But then as always, you have a session evaluation. We want to know, was that useful? What can we do to improve it? But here's the thing that we're really hoping is going to be great for everybody, and that is, again, the ability to get a certificate of attendance. So if you watch the video and then come down here and click, there is a Google form which is going to ask for your name and a little bit of information, and then it is a quiz based upon the content from that particular session. This, though, we've really worked hard to completely automate this, so you don't have to worry about me not getting your certificate. This is completely automated. When you take that quiz and you hit submit, and maybe one time we'll actually do a whole session on how we built this and put it together. When you submit that form, it goes into a spreadsheet, and we put a bunch of formulas in there. We're actually not using Flubrew. We did our own little thing. We actually grade the quiz on the fly, figure out whether you passed or not, and if you did, then AutoCrack kicks in, and it sends you a certificate and an email. If you didn't pass, it sends you a different email that says you didn't pass, but the whole thing is completely automated thanks to triggers now being available in the Google add-ons. So, somebody could come across some of these webinars a year from now, watch it, take the quiz, boom, get their certificate right away. So hopefully that'll be a really nice system to just be able to have this whole stable of collected webinars over time. So definitely feel free to check out the one on Google Drawings for graphic organizers, but upcoming, we've got a couple. I'll be doing one on January 8th called Supercharge Google Docs with Add-ons. And so if you follow that link and go out to there, you'll see it looks very similar to the others. It kind of gives you a placeholder video. I didn't choose that. Well, that is my profile picture, but it's not like I meant my face to be that big there. It's just that's what it does. It grabs your profile picture. But this is where the video is going to be live, so you can come to this page to watch the video live, but that's also where it'll be after it's recorded. And then whatever help resources, the sessional evaluation, will add the quiz after the training, of course. And we do also throw in a chat document. So while the webinar is going on, we figured that might be an easy way to communicate. So if you watch the webinar live, you can come down and open up the chat document, and it's just a document where you can type in any questions or comments or things you're curious about during that webinar. We do have a couple quick things at the top that are different. Since this is not a recorded one, this is before the fact, there is a register button, and so that shoots you out to a Google form that allows you to register for that webinar. We are asking that people do that just so that we can give you proper information about, if there's a change, if we have to adjust anything, we'll have your information. We're not going to spam you with anything like that, just stuff specific to that webinar. So we are asking that people do go ahead and register ahead of time. If you would, that'd be great. And there is a link here to add it to your Google Calendar as well. If you're afraid you might forget the date, you can just click on that, and it will give you an option to put that event on your calendar. So I'll be doing one on Google Docs add-ons, all the really cool add-ons you can do to extend what Google Docs is able to do. And then the other one I'm going to do is on collaborating and sharing. That's January 22nd. And this is a very foundational one, one that's really important if you've got staff members who really have not yet dug into Google Docs a whole lot. It'll cover all of the really foundational things about how to share and collaborate, view rights, edit rights, comment rights, sharing as a link, sharing with people, revision history, chatting within a document, emailing your collaborators, all of those things that deal with working with other people inside of Google Docs. Anthony, why don't you tell us a little bit about yours? What will you be sharing?
Well, I will be making up the one that we had some technical difficulties with, and that is the one on Google Tips and Tricks for handling your Gmail inbox. Okay. And I'm not sure on the exact date on that yet. It may happen over the holidays, and you may see it after the fact, but that will be up fairly soon. My series in January is going to be a two-part series on advanced searching techniques. We're going to start with some very basic things, go into some advanced techniques. The thing that's very interesting about this session, I think you might find, is in addition to using this as a webinar for your professional development, it's going to be designed so you could also use it with your class. You have students probably anywhere from 5th to 12th grade. You could use this webinar in conjunction with your instruction on internet searching and research, and I think it'll be a good match with that. The other thing, too, is on these webinars, I know that most of the time you're going to be watching them alone, but if you have something at school and you want to use them, they would be a good group activity because then you could discuss the various topics afterward as a group. So feel free to invite other people to watch with you. You can have popcorn then, too.
All right, excellent. So you're doing, again, 2 of them on web searching. It'll be like a part 1 and a part 2 with the idea you're hoping that some of the things raised in the first part you could maybe even follow up on, with questions that people have, because you see it as such a rich topic that just a one-shot isn't quite enough for that.
Yes, and I will definitely at the first session invite those 2 people to comment or questions. And As you look at our scheduled events, if you ever have any questions that you want us to make sure we specifically address during those events, feel free to get a hold of us via email or however, and we will include those in our process.
Absolutely. And I think for most of the part, most times, those when you go to register for the webinar, we've already got, I believe we've got the Q&A document already linked into all of the upcoming ones. So you don't have to wait till the actual webinar to start putting Q&A stuff in there. You could throw stuff in there even ahead of time just to kind of prime the pump and make sure that these are some things that get addressed. That would be fine.
Also, I just wanted to mention that for some of them we will have handouts or materials we'd like you to have ready at your computer on a second screen or printed out. Especially with my searching series, there's a couple documents. So when the series starts, I'll tell you I'll pause and let you. I'll tell you might need to pause if it's live. If you're watching it afterward, pause, get the documents that you need, and we'll give the links to those.
All right. Well, again, those are coming up, and we just recommend that people go ahead and follow the links we've got there. If you need to get to those at any point in the future, remember you can just go to our new tech integration page. That's where all of that stuff can always be found. And again, that's just ti.apps.spark.org, and you will see the upcoming webinars. Click on any one of those, as well as our Google user group meetings. All that stuff is there, but just click on any one of those, and when you go there, you will have the option to register, to add it to your calendar, and get all the resources in advance for those sessions. All right. Well, let me pause there. Anything from folks here, something we need to know about, upcoming events, any questions, any comments? Don't want to overlook anything that we need to share. We do have conferences coming up again. I know we mentioned that last time. I didn't throw it back in here. Anybody here planning on attending the OETC State Tech Conference? One person in the group? Okay. Are you attending, presenting?
I'm attending this year.
Okay. All right. Excellent. All right. Well, I know Anthony will be there. I'll be there as well. So that's always a great conference. And then, you know, there's a bunch of, we're heading into conference season here soon. There'll be a lot coming up with Neotech and the Google, Ohio Google Summit that they do up in Kalahari. There'll be a lot of those coming up. So we'll be sure to keep everybody up to date on conference opportunities as those roll around. Anything else, Anthony, before we move into what's new with the Goog?
Yes, there's a new conference that's being started. It's going to be held at Beechwood. It's called NEOTIE, N-E-O-T-I-E, and we'll get that information up for you. Also, Chris Hamady from Anthony Wayne High School out in northwestern Ohio is putting together a site where people that are doing conferences can submit the information. So we will also link to that because that's going to be a good resource for people that are presenting conferences. I think we're going to see this large growth in regional conferences of very high quality as it becomes difficult for a lot of people to participate in the state conference.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a. Thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, NEOTIE, N-E-O-T-I-E, brand new conference, and I think TIE is Technology Integrating Educators. I believe that's what the TIE part stands for. But way up northeast above us, sort of area, is where that's getting organized out of, and that sounds like that's going to be a fantastic conference. And yes, thanks for mentioning about the list of conferences that is now being collected together. We'll be sure to put all that in the agenda as well. After the fact, we'll make sure we get all of that in there so people can access some of that great information. Good stuff. Yeah.
I just want to remind people that I know for the NEOTIE, they're currently accepting proposals, and for the Neotech conference in March, they're currently accepting proposals. So you may want to think about attending, not just attending some of these conferences, but presenting. It's a great opportunity to present. If you'd like some assistance getting your proposal ready or getting your presentation ready, Eric and I are also very happy to do that with you.
Yeah, and a lot of these conferences, they're very comfortable. They're very homey. You know, think of the Spark conference if you attended that. There are a lot of that feel. I mean, I'm going to say probably what, like 300 people, maybe 400 at the most attending the conferences. So they're not like this massive, gigantic state conference, but they're very well attended. But everybody's friendly and happy, and it's a great place to get started if you haven't done presentations. Now, Kelly, you've presented at a bunch of these, haven't you? I'm trying to think. You were
the Google conference and the eTech last year.
Yeah, fantastic. Because you were doing a lot of stuff with the scripting, the spreadsheet scripting. Yeah, absolutely, fantastic. Yeah.
You know the timing of the Neo time?
Neo time. Hey, Anthony, maybe can you just look that up while we chat about a few other things, and then maybe throw that the date for NeoTie. I'm drawing a blank when it was, but if you want to take a look at the email we got from Andreas and maybe pull that up and throw it in the agenda.
Doing it right now.
You're putting it in right now. Thank you very much. Yeah, they're just now accepting proposals, but I don't remember. It's sometimes in the spring here when that conference is coming up. So
it is going to be on February 28th. So it's actually going to be a winter conference at Beechwood High School.
Sooner than that.
On a pretty tight schedule here. I'm going to put their link on our.
Oh, that's right. It's a Saturday, isn't it?
I think it is. I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure.
They're trying a Saturday approach to that one. It's my daughter's birthday too, so I'll have to figure out how I'm going to split that day up. Definitely want to take her with me. Have her come present with me. I should. Yeah. We're all educators. We drag our kids to everything, don't we? Yeah. How many of your kids have helped set up your room? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Any of your kids grade your papers? Yeah. Okay. There you go. We won't say who admitted to that, but yeah, we do drag our kids to everything that we do. I understand. All right. And Anthony, again, I'm sorry, I forgot to put a lot of that stuff in there, but if you want to throw a few other conference things in the upcoming events section, that'd be fantastic.
I'm doing that right now.
Oh, you're the best. Excellent. All right.
I miss my 6th grade daughter who would always come and help me straighten up my office every Christmas break, but now that she's a 20-something, it's not as interesting for her.
Well, yeah, I know. It does kind of wear off at a certain point there, so you got to strike while the iron's hot. And there's many labs that my daughter reimaged for me over the years before she eventually discovered boys and moved on. All right, enough of that. Let's get into a big chunk of what we're going to do today, which is, as always, we talk about what's new with Google. They're a moving target. They're always releasing new things. This month was no different than the last. So we're going to talk about some new things. Some things we'll just mention briefly. Some we'll actually demonstrate. And then we're going to move into our show and tell section. As always, actually Q&A and then show and tell. As always, we really want this to be more than just Anthony and I talking. We want as much participation as we can get. So I'm really excited that we do have one of our participants today will be coming up here and sharing something in the show and tell. Yes, Jess will be joining us for that. Yay! So thank you very much for doing that. We would encourage anybody here to share a neat tip or trick or something that if you want to come up to the computer, if you're here locally in the room and share it, that's great. If you're somewhere remotely and you'd like to share something, just even now send us an email, let us know, somehow connect with us, and I'll invite you into the Hangout. And you can jump in the Hangout and you could share your screen and do it. So if you're watching remotely, maybe just throw it in the agenda. Just say, hey, I've got something I'd like to share. When we get to that spot, maybe just let us know who you are so I can send you an invite and we'll pull you into the Hangout. So we can even do that at the last minute. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So let me share my screen and we'll move over to what's new in Google Apps. All right. All righty. So I always pick up where we left off from the last meeting. So it's not the first of the month to the end of the month, but wherever our last meeting was. So the first things we're going to be looking at here was back in November. And the first item is that we're getting new bookmarks in Chrome. So there's all these links here. We'll jump you out to articles or things that tell you a little bit about these. But apparently, folks have seen that in Chrome Beta, there is a new bookmark tool in there that's going to eventually be making its way down to Chrome stable. So we'll see that. Usually it's a 6-week turnaround for each version of Chrome. So if something makes it to beta within 6 weeks, then it makes it to stable. And what's new, it looks like, in Bookmarks is that when you add a bookmark, you're going to be able to select an image or add a note or a snippet to help you find that bookmark later, and that Google will also suggest a folder that it could fit in. Other things then will be an improved search to be able to search upon those notes and snippets to find your bookmarks, to be able to put bookmarks into topics. They suggested things like Tokyo and photography, because obviously all of us go to Tokyo and take pictures. That's our normal life. Will there be a section for sharing, or an option for sharing? I thought this is really neat. This I think will be great, because right now, if you want to share a lot of resources, a lot of times you might use, I'm trying to think what are some of the options. Is it Diigo, D-I-I-G-O? Who knows how to pronounce that? Does anybody really know? Diigo. I don't know. I'm probably butchering it terribly, but that's a social bookmarking site where you can put together collections of bookmarks and then share those. Oh goodness, I'm gonna draw a blank. There's a ton of really good ones. Anybody use a bookmark sharing service that you can think of the name at the moment?
Delicious.
Delicious, yes, Delicious is a good one. I know there's a lot of. I'm totally drawing a blank at the moment, but the point is, it looks like we're going to be able to do this with Google Bookmarks now. We'll be able to say, oh, here's a folder of really cool educational resources, or whatever the case might be, and then we're going to be able to share that folder of favorite bookmarks. What a great way to be able to just pass that on to somebody else without having to then create another whole, site or service. You can just do it right there in your Google Bookmarks. So I'm excited about that. We should be seeing that coming out, I would imagine, in a few weeks, since that was November and that was in Chrome beta. So look for that really soon to be live for all of us. And as always, stop me at any point if anybody has any questions, comments, or you want to throw in something about any of these. The next quick one talks about a new way to share documents in Hangouts. So if you are like us and you do like to use Google Hangouts for a lot of things, there used to be an actual button in Google Hangouts. It was a drive button, and you could use that button to click to share a document while you were in the drive. That's not how that's going to work anymore. Now what you'll do is you'll actually go to the chat window. You'll click the little chat button, and in the chat window there will be an option to add your drive. Now I can probably try to show this on the screen. I'm probably going to get the Inception view here. That always happens. So as I move this over, woo, there we go. Excellent. But what I want to show you is that inside of the Google Hangouts, there used to be a drive button over here. Now if you turn on the chat and you go over to the bottom of the chat, whoops, didn't mean to make that so big. Let me move this over here. So if I can get to it, way down here at the bottom of the chat, there's now a teeny little button that looks like a drive with a plus sign next to it. If you click that, that will let you go ahead and grab an item out of your drive, and it will throw the link for it into the chat so that people can access it that way. So they're getting rid of the old drive sharing tool, and they're really just integrating it right into the chat now. So if you go, where'd that go? That's where it has moved to, and that was just a few days ago that went live. All right. Other changes. Hey, guess what, guys? Chromebooks are selling well. Anybody in this room buy some Chromebooks recently? Yes, we are incredibly fortunate to have had a straight A grant awarded to a consortium of schools here in Ohio, including many of the schools that we serve. And I think the number of Chromebooks being purchased is in the thousands. I don't know, 6,000 Chromebooks or so across these districts. So it's no surprise to us that Chromebooks are selling well. Turns out, for the first time ever in Q3, Chromebooks surpassed iPads in school sales. In that quarter, 715,000 Chromebooks were sold, while 702,000 iPads. So both doing phenomenally well, but it's just a really, it's nothing against the iPad. It's still doing fantastic. It's just that the Chromebook is catching up. It's now really being well received, and we're seeing incredible sales. I'm sure a lot of that's in part to the low cost, the improved durability, they're making them better all the time, but also something we love to call PARC, that we probably don't feel great excitement about, but that is our online state testing that requires a lot of devices for our students, and Chromebooks seem to be just a really, really great match for those tests. So I think schools are scooping them up in mass to also prepare for those tests. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Anthony.
By the way, I'm using a CTL Chromebook for this conference.
So you are on a Chromebook right now rather than a traditional laptop or desktop for this Hangout. Excellent. Excellent. Very good. All right. So that's no surprise. All right. Now this next one, boy, this one really got people's attention when this came out. Folks got really, really excited about this. Something that has been asked for, I guess, forever, and I totally understand why it would have been, and that is the ability to, actually that's not a very good link. Let me go with the link here that actually shows it a little bit better. So Google Plus link to it. The ability to merge cells in a table in Google Documents. So this is something that I know people have been asking for a long time. You can put tables in Google Docs, but you couldn't merge cells, and so it was pretty frustrating to be able to create something that wasn't just a normal grid. You had to go over to Google Sheets and somehow try to use that instead. Well, now, let me pop over and I'll just show you real quick what it looks like. So if I were to go to this document here, and if I were to go to Insert Table and throw a table in there, I'll get my normal table like I typically do. But if I come in now and I highlight a bunch of cells and I go up to the table menu, there is now a new option, merge and unmerge cells. So I can say merge cells and boom, it'll just merge those together, and now you can have a lot more flexibility in creating really nice tables right inside of Google Documents. So that one was definitely well received. I saw a lot of people get excited. Anthony, I thought you told me that you've heard the same, that there were folks, no names mentioned, but there were folks that were like, this was a deal breaker when they weren't able to do this. It was keeping them from using it. Is that correct?
Yeah, there were 3 deal breakers for them, and they've now solved one of them. The other deal breaker was columns, but I explained to them that they really don't want those anyway. And then their other thing that we're still waiting for, and hopefully this will come real quick, is the ability to do a little more precision wrapping of images.
All right.
I think that'll be 99.9% of my word processing.
All right. And so maybe some of those will be 2015 predictions. We'll see if some of those show up in there. But check that one off the list. We've got we can merge our cells now, so that's great. In addition to that, a couple of other smaller things rolled out at the same time. One of them was you can also now change image color, transparency, brightness, and contrast right inside of Docs. So like if I took our little new button here and I clicked on new on that image, I can now go up to image options in the top right hand corner here, click that, and it gives me all of these options like recoloring. So if I said, oh, I want the new button to be red or green or whatever, I can recolor an image right from there. In addition to recoloring, I've got transparency options, so I could make it, become transparent or on a scale of transparency. I can also adjust the brightness and the contrast as well. So that's nice. Nice little option now for our images. And then the last thing that came out that same day was that you can put numbers on your slides. That one probably not, as often asked for, but still nice. So if I pop over to a sample presentation here, normally we don't have slide numbers, but oops, I'm in view only mode. Whoops, sorry about that. Let me make a copy real quick. I forgot I had a view only one, but if I'm in one that I can actually edit, then that would be helpful. I can now go to slide, and there'll be the format, I believe. Hold on a second. Oh, now I've lost it. Insert. Yeah, I knew I'd find it eventually. Sorry about that, guys. Insert. Insert slide numbers. And so if I do insert slide numbers, what you'll notice now is as soon as I do that, it's going to say on or off, skip title slides if I don't want it on the title. So I'll say, nah, I don't need a number on my title slide, but I do want it on the rest of them. Hit apply, and now nothing changes on the title slide, but now there's a teeny little 2 and a teeny little 3 down in the bottom right-hand corner of the other slide. So, that's nice. Nice feature that they added that day as well. All right, let's keep on firing down through here. Stop me at any point, folks. Next one up, converting Microsoft Office attachments directly from Gmail. So I'm going to bring that window right back up again that I was just in. So we're constantly getting tweaks to how to handle external files, things that aren't typically Google related. So now if somebody sends you an attachment in Gmail and it's not a Google file like a Word document here, you've still got your normal options. The download option to download it to your hard drive, the Google Drive button to save it to your drive, but now they've added a pencil icon which allows you to just edit it right away. What that means is it's going to do the whole process of taking the file, converting it into Google Docs, and then saving it in your drive and opening it up. So right from here with one click, if I just said, okay, I want to take this Word document and I want to edit it in Docs, click it one time, it's going to take that document, convert it into Google Docs, put it in my drive, take care of that whole process in one quick click. So that is now another option to make that a little bit more seamless for you. Next up, Drive now supports the conversion of 15 more types of Office files. I believe it was a lot of the template types is what it was. So yes, like the DOT, DOTX, XLT, POT, a lot of those are template files. So now if you've got a file saved in Office that was a traditional template file, it will be able to read those in as well and import and convert those. This next one's kind of interesting. I don't really know what to make of this. It's a bit of a rumor right now, but the idea is that supposedly Google is developing a kid-friendly version of Search, Chrome, and YouTube. So if we fire on out to there, this is from 9 to 5 Google, and what they're saying is that the story behind it is that Google employees are getting older and they're starting to have kids, and as they're having kids, they're starting to think a little bit differently because a lot of folks at Google are young, which is true. I mean, you've got a lot of tech companies that certainly do hire people that are bright young minds, and as time has gone on, though, they start to have families, and we're starting to see apparently, at least this is bubbling up there at Google, that they're saying, what about kids? Should we be doing some things differently? And so supposedly what we're hearing is that they're working on versions of Search and YouTube, and I think we heard also just Chrome in itself, that are going to be aimed for kids aged 12 and under. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that just means. I don't know. Are they going to look different? Is it going to be less buttons? Is it going to be some other security features? I truly don't know what to expect from this, but it's really an interesting idea that could have a big impact in schools. So I don't know. Do we currently, anybody here have an opinion on this, or Anthony or anybody up there, are there things about Search and Chrome and YouTube and stuff that concern you, that you would say, boy, it would be nice if something was different? What might be an idea for you guys?
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
Oh, hold on a second, Anthony, real quick. Yeah?
Filters, for one thing. I mean, we've had kids that are doing Google image search for something in notches and come up with something really inappropriate. So we've had to try and steer them away from that, you know. But yeah, some filtering.
Exactly. I mean, there are definitely tools that are available, but you're right. If this was something that was either default or even enhanced, you know, we've got safe search, we've got some things like that. So maybe that's going to, I don't know what it's going to be, but maybe that's part of it, is it'll be just baked right into it, some really good filtering, no matter what, that they can't get around. Like, it's just part of the program. What else?
YouTube would be a concern for me because our district blocks YouTube across the board. So if we could have some kind of function of YouTube that they would say this is more kid-friendly and, you know, you could feel more comfortable with it, that would open up a whole world, because not all of YouTube is bad, you know, but boy, when you block it across the board, it really shuts it.
Okay, very well said. Yeah, YouTube is an incredibly powerful tool, but it's not good, it's not bad, it is just a tool. And there are really great things. If you haven't, you know, I'm sure everybody, I'm talking to the choir here, but if folks haven't explored the educational channels on YouTube, there's phenomenal stuff there, really, really good stuff. But then again, you're right, there's also inappropriate things as well. Now, Google does have the option, which is YouTube for Schools, that you can turn on, and I might have mentioned that before in passing. It's basically a program you can sign up for, that what happens is you register the basically your IP address for your district. Well, I guess I'm kind of oversimplifying it. You register your district. They give you a special code that you then put in, I'm going to display my ignorance here on networking, but you take this code and you put it in with your servers, with your routing, probably your switches, somewhere in there. And here's the point. Anytime somebody is in your district and they try to go to a YouTube video, your own internal networking structure will add this special code onto the URL request that you send out, and YouTube goes, oh, you're from blah, blah, blah school. You're one of our registered YouTube for Schools folks, so we now are going to apply these restrictions on you. And so what happens is if you sign up for YouTube for Schools, you get everything gets blocked in YouTube except for vetted educational videos, of which there's hundreds of thousands of them. So right off the bat, that takes out all the stuff that is in any way questionable and basically just does like a whitelisting sort of thing of educational videos. Now you can turn it on and off based upon user. So you could say only apply this to our student users in Google Apps. Do not apply it to staff. So a staff member could go to YouTube and show something up on the screen and use that for teaching with no problem whatsoever. But if if the student is logged into the Google Apps account, and by the way, you'd have to be logged into your Google Apps account or you couldn't even get to YouTube. But being logged into your Google Apps account then identifies who you are. Oh, you're a student, so you're going to get filtered. You're not a student. Okay, you're a teacher, you're not being filtered. And then there's options for you to add more things to the approved list. So you can go in and say, I want to pre-approve this video. Now you add your own custom stuff to it, and the students can see that. So that's been around for years, YouTube for Schools. It's a program you can sign up for, and your tech folks work to get that set up. Maybe they're going to do something off of that, or just what you're saying, just making YouTube a lot more kid safe than it is. Maybe it would deal with comments and advertisements and things like that. Kelly, did you have something to add about?
Just the same thing. We blocked YouTube at our school, and there's a lot of educational tools out there, and I didn't know about YouTube for Schools, and that would be neat if the kids could use it, but just look at educational things.
Yeah, and I'll try to bring that up and maybe throw that into there as well. Yeah, YouTube for Schools. So yeah, I'll show you real quick. Share that screen again. This is it. YouTube for Schools. Just youtube.com/schools, and it gives you a little explanation of how it all works. And there's an option here to go in and learn more, sign up for free. It does have to be done through the technology folks at your district because it is changes to the actual network switches and routers and so forth so that it appends that identifying code onto all of your requests as they go out. All right. Anthony, let me pop over to you.
Well, my prediction, my hope, this is a hope more than a prediction, is that they move some of the tools from the advanced page to the main page on the kids search where you can use plain language search where it'll say, I want to see all these words, I want to see none of these words, I want to see this exact phrase. We had directed all of our students to that page when they clicked on the Google link on our homepage when I was at Mogador, and it looks more complicated to begin with, but it really is much easier for young children because they don't need to worry about the syntax of the search as much. So I'm hoping that's one thing. The thing in YouTube I'd really like to see would be the ability to simply block the previews on the right side and to block the comments. I think that would make it a lot more kid-friendly.
Yeah, I definitely understand. Comments in YouTube, those have gone through a big update recently. Comments now have been replaced with Google Plus comments, but it's still a bit of a scary place. So comments, suggested videos, related videos, advertisements. I'm getting a lot of echo from you there, Anthony. We may need to mute yourself there. Yeah.
Yes, I'll do that.
Sorry about that. All right, good deal. Well, let's keep on heading on, and let me share my screen again. All right. So, what else? So, hey, that's a neat one. I don't know. Keep your eye on that. I'm really curious what that's going to look like. Next, I won't go into details on these, but there's both been updates for iOS and for Android. You'll see on the 8th iOS updates and then on the 15th Android updates for docs, sheets, and slides. So, I think this is just every month that's going to be on the list. They're constantly improving the mobile versions of docs, sheets, and slides. Docs, you can now do line spacing on the mobile version, so you can do single space, double space, fractional spacing. Sheets, they included scroll bars to make it easier to navigate. Slides, you can now insert images in the mobile version as well and manipulate the images. So little by little by little, the mobile version is starting to mirror the desktop version a lot better. So those, can get more details by following those links. Next up, real quick, there's a new apps icon in the Google Apps admin console. So for folks that are used to going into the admin console and seeing Google Apps as one icon, and then seeing Marketplace apps as a different icon, and then seeing additional Google services as another icon, those are all still there, but they've all been put underneath one icon that just says apps. So if you're an administrator of Google Apps, when you go in, it'll be a cleaner interface. Now you can just go to apps, and then from there you can break out to the core apps, the secondary apps, and the marketplace apps. So just heads up if you're wondering, where'd my button go? They've all been consolidated together under just that one apps button. Another new feature in Google Sheets, sparkline options. Now, I've never really used sparklines much. That's not something that I've really messed around with too much. But what a sparkline basically is it allows you to create a little chart inside of a single cell rather than creating a chart that is big and outside of that, and it just fits right in that cell to give you a real quick view of the data. And I actually put one together, and now I'm going to forget where I put it. Actually, I do know where it's at. I'm pretty good usually at preloading these, and I forgot to get this one up. Let me grab it real quick, and I'll drag it over. There it is, Sparkline, and let me drag it over to this screen so you guys can see it. And it should be filling in. There we go. Okay, so what you should see here is an example of what a sparkline is and what some of the new tools are in it. So what I did was I did a temperature example, which this would be normal for Ohio. I mean, actually normally it would be 70 degrees one day, negative 20 the next. Oh, I had my air on in the morning and the heater on at night. So this isn't quite as varied as it should be for Ohio, but I threw in some temperatures here, and you can see that over here in this cell, I used the equals sparkline formula. And then you can throw in additional attributes like chart type is column. This is a line. This is a column. The two new sparklines include bar and what they call win-loss. So the bar type of a sparkline basically takes the size of the number and determines how wide the bar is going to be based upon how big the number is relative to the other numbers. And then the win-loss simply shows is it above or below 0. It ignores how much above or below it is. It just shows is it simply above or below or equal to 0. So you can use the equals sparkline function in Google Sheets. We've had it for a while, but now you've got a bar and a win-loss chart type. Now, Anthony, I know you're Mr. Spreadsheet. Can you give me any other input on sparklines? Have you used them? What's the benefit of these? And if not, that's okay. Oh, I think I lost Anthony. I cannot hear you. Okay, I will just continue on because I'm not hearing Anthony. I'm not sure if he has technical difficulties, but no. I'm not hearing you, Anthony. It looks like your mouth is moving, but I don't.
Okay, I was muted there.
Oh, sorry, you were muted.
We got off on a sidetrack here. She asked him a spreadsheet question. I couldn't resist.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have just thrown that to you like that quick. I just didn't know if you had anything to add to sparklines.
Yeah, the sparklines are pretty neat. I showed some of our staff who are real Excel users yesterday about 5 features that were only available in Google Sheets as opposed to Excel.
And that's one of them?
Yes.
All right, well, we'll come back to that later. I see that you've got something later on that you wanted to mention about that.
Well, that's pretty much, you pretty much showed a very good example of it.
Okay, good. Excellent then. All right, well, let's keep on moving. So I'll close out of that, and we'll get back to here. All right, and I'm getting the echo again. Sorry, Anthony.
I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to mute again here.
Thanks so much. All right, next up, oh, this one's nice, profile pictures when sharing. So this is a new one that if I were to come into, I'll just use our document here, and if I were to go and say that I wanted to share this agenda, which it already is shared with everybody, but if I were to share it specifically with somebody, so I don't know, I'll use Anthony again because I know I've already got you in there, but it's always safe to use Anthony. If I'm to choose somebody that I want to share with, and I start typing them in and I select them, before I hit the send button, before I actually share with them, you will now get their profile picture there. And that's really nice. I mean, if you're in a big school and you've got a student who has a name that's very similar to a teacher, maybe even the exact same name, and you grab the wrong, Mr. Miller, or the wrong John Miller, or the wrong, John Smith, or whatever, you could be sharing a document with a student and you didn't mean to. You meant to be sharing it with the teacher. It's just one more way to catch your eye before you hit the send button and go, ah, yes, that's clearly the person I was expecting it to be, or whoops, that's not the John Smith I meant. And so this is just another great way to kind of make sure your sharing is appropriate. I know that's always a concern with schools, and that was one of the big reasons why, schools were like, well, back in the day, I don't know if we want to put, our students on the same domain as our staff. What if I grab the wrong one? Honestly, it's just so much better to have everybody on one domain and make sharing so much easier. It's just you need to make sure you have some of these tools to help you make the right choice when you're sharing and being safe about that. So I'm glad to see that that has now been added in when it comes to sharing documents. Quick Chromebook info. We do have some rumors about some upcoming new Chromebooks. The thing that I think is worth noting here is two things. First of all, ruggedization is now the key term. So Acer is going to be releasing a rugged Chromebook in 2015. So I don't know that we've got any real pictures. These might just be standard images there. But they're going to be releasing a rugged Chromebook, probably a lot like the CTL that Anthony and I shared about at one of our last meetings. So that seems to be a big theme when it comes to education and needing to have Chromebooks that are going to stand up to wear and tear, try to keep screens from breaking, things like that. So that was kind of cool. The other thing that caught my attention is a 15.6-inch screen on one of their Chromebooks. It'll be the first of that type. So we're really entering into some large screen sizes there. And with that 15.6-inch screen, there will be an option to get it in 1920 by 1080 resolution, so basically HD resolution on there. So if you want a Chromebook with a nice big screen and a high resolution, those are coming down the road now. So a lot of variety. We've got many, many, many options for Chromebooks now. Next up, calendar audit report for admins. Just quick, those of you that do administer Google Apps for Education, if you go into your Min console and you go to your report section, they've now added another report, which is calendars. Basically, it lets you go in and see any change anybody's made to any calendar. So it's just another option for administrators to quickly see what's happening on your domain. Chromecast now offers guest mode. I don't know how many schools have really taken advantage of Chromecast. I think it's mostly been used in home environments. I have 2 Chromecasts at home. I mean, they're like $25 or something, so or $35, or you can get them on sale cheaper. Google's actually doing an option now. If you buy one, you get like a credit in the Google Play Store that basically makes the Chromecast free by the time you get it. So they're phenomenal little tools to be able to quickly share what's on a Chromebook, on a tablet, on a phone, to stream Netflix, to stream YouTube, to show all kinds of things. I don't know how much. Anybody using them in schools here? Have they made it into your school yet? You got a couple? Well, see, that's the thing. Good question. They're not really designed so much for, and this even makes it more open. They're not so much designed for the enterprise. They really are designed a lot for home use. But in a situation where you're not worried about somebody hijacking it and throwing up something inappropriate, they're really a nice way to actually make it very easy for people to suddenly share. If you said, hey, I want you to show what's on your screen with the whole class, boom, a student can just screen share right to it and share with the whole class. Well, they've added a new option called guest mode. So this is something you do have to turn on, but if you turn on guest mode, what it means is a person can use your Chromecast in your house without joining your Wi-Fi. Okay, so if you've got somebody over for New Year's or Christmas and they want to show you some really cool thing and they want to use your Chromecast, typically the big barrier is they need to be able to jump on Wi-Fi if they don't have a unless it's a cell phone, obviously. But if they don't have Wi-Fi, you know, they might need to jump on your Wi-Fi to then be able to connect to the Chromecast. There's now a guest mode there where you don't have to. People can just connect directly to the Chromecast, and they won't have to you won't have to give them your password to get on your home Wi-Fi to be able to do that. So I just think it's neat. They're just trying to make it easier and easier and easier all the time to use the Chromecast. I will be curious to see if they ever have a Chromecast EDU version that plays nicer with secure wireless settings in a school environment. That might be nice. That would have been a good prediction. I didn't pick that one, though. That would have been a good one. Okay, just a few more here. Next. Now, this one is kind of interesting. Sharing drive files as attachments in Gmail. Alrighty. So, for those of you who've kind of been using Docs and Gmail and Drive for quite a while, you'll remember about a year ago, I don't know, maybe longer, they offered a new option in Gmail, which is fantastic, and that is the ability to insert a drive file instead of a classic attachment. So if I were to pull back up this test user and I were to say I wanted to compose a message, when I go to compose this message, down in the bottom there's a little paper clip, so you can attach a file like normal. You click the paper clip, you go out, you choose a file, you upload it, you attach it. But then they added this drive icon to say, no, instead of doing that, click this, go out and find, you know, some drive file that you would like to attach, insert that instead, and then send it off. And what was nice is it wasn't really sending the file, it was just sending a link to your drive file, which meant you didn't have to worry about, ooh, is this attachment too big? You know, I can only send something so large. Now, no, you could share something that's a terabyte in size because it's not really getting sent through email. They're just getting a link to it. And the really cool thing I always loved about this was that if you hadn't shared the document with the people you were sending it to, it yelled at you when you went to send it. And I'm not sure who this one is shared with right now. This might be a publicly viewable one, so that wouldn't work. But if this wasn't shared, when I hit send, it would say Google would analyze the people who are receiving the document, compare that to the sharing settings, and say, before you send this, you have not shared this document with these people. They won't be able to view it. Would you like to change that now? It was really slick. Well, they're not taking that away. They're not removing that option. Instead, they're going to be augmenting this slightly, and what they're doing is they're saying when you go to insert a drive file, what if a year from now you get rid of the original file? What if that person tries to get to it later down the line and they can't because you didn't really send them the file, you just sent them the link to it. So there's now going to be the option when you insert a drive file, you'll be asked to say, do you want it as just a link, or did you want to make it be an attachment? And if you choose attachment, it will actually attach the file as a standalone document rather than just a link to the document. Now, this works for non-Google files, so it's not like for a Google Doc, it's not going to convert the doc into a Word document or the sheet into an Excel file. It is going to work with non-Google files, but the point being that if you ever got rid of that file in the future and it was just a link, you would have cut off the branch they're sitting on and now they can't get back to that file. But if instead you did it as an attachment, it will take something from your drive, pull it out temporarily, put it in as a real physical attachment, and send it over to them. So just one more option to try to take care of those what-if scenarios. So just be aware, that's rolling out here shortly. Almost to the end of what's new. Drive now supports OpenOffice files, so anybody who does use OpenOffice, great, you can now import those and convert those over into the associated Google files. So if you're using, and Anthony, you probably know these better than me. I don't remember the names of the OpenOffice programs, but if you're using their spreadsheet program or their presentation program or their word processing program, it will now convert those over properly into Google Documents, Google Sheets, and Google Slides.
Mainly, they called them Write and Calc on the main versions.
Okay. So that's great. Next up, just mention real quick, voice search is now turned on for Google Drive on Android. So if you're trying to find a file on your phone or on your Android tablet and you're searching through Drive and you can't find it, and you can't find it, and you can't find it, you can now say, okay, Google, search for whatever it is, and then say on Drive. So if I grab my phone here, I've got a document on here for my tech predictions. So if I were to, I'll try and see, hopefully I'll get this to work here. So okay, Google, search for predictions on Drive. And
searching Drive.
There it goes. And boom, and it jumps me right into my Drive, and it pulls up my Google predictions, any files that match that. And I've got a couple. I've got a document and a slideshow and stuff. So just heads up, another quick way to be able to get into things from your Android device. Oh, I did skip one. Sorry about that. Chrome Web Store now has a new updated sidebar for searching. Now, this actually is pretty big difference. If you're used to using the Chrome Web Store, let me go ahead and pull up the Web Store here real quick. If you're used to using the Chrome Web Store, you'll see the bar is different. They've made quite a change on the left-hand navigation for the Chrome Web Store. Now, I love the Chrome Web Store. Web apps, extensions, all that stuff is fantastic. It used to be that if you came here, you got this, and actually there's a picture here that shows you what it used to look like if you've already forgotten, but it used to give you a long list of all of your categories like this. Well, now it doesn't. Instead, you have to pick the category from here, from this category list. But after you come in and say, okay, education, academic resources, the nice thing is it gives you all of these other tools along with it. You never really had a good way to narrow these down. So now I can say, show me the education category or whatever I want in there. Once I get all the education things, instead of having to look at every single education app out there, I could say, show me just those that have a 5-star rating. And now it's going to reduce it down to just those. Or show me those that can run offline. And now it's going to show me those. Or show me the ones that are actually web apps, not just websites, not just a link to a website, but an actual web app that's going to run as a program inside of my browser, versus show me the ones that are really just links out to their website. So I think that's going to be a really nice way to be able to, as the Chrome Web Store gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, this can help us really narrow down on what's important, what we're really looking for. All right. And lastly, this is just a pretty cool link here. November was National Novel Writing Month. Was NaNoWriMo. I'm sure I'm going to botch with that. It's National Novel Writing Month, right? National Novel Writing Month. In November, oh, there it is right there. National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo. And what you're supposed to do during November is try to write the great American novel in 1 month, and a bunch of people get encouraged to go out and start writing again, and most people don't finish, but hey, it's cool. It gets you going. It gets you inspired and encouraged to do some writing. Well, Google put out this video here where 3 authors were asked to write a short story in 1 hour using a prompt submitted by a user. Somebody submitted that into them. And so it's a really short video. It's about a 2.5-minute video, but it shows these 3 authors working together live on writing a short story based upon the prompt they were given, and it's exciting and it's fun, and they work off of each other and they inspire each other and they have a great time. And I think it's a really good inspiration for your students. I think this would be great to have some collaborative writing happening in schools. Use this as something to kind of show them how that can be done, how people can use Google Docs to work together. In their case, they did the old each of us writes a sentence kind of thing. So it's like they did a round robin, like, hey, I go first, then you, then me. And I remember doing that as a student on pencil and paper. Way back when I was in elementary school, I remember doing that myself, where we'd have a starting sentence, and then each of us would have to write a sentence and pass the piece of paper to the next person and try to write a story, which always somebody would derail horribly partway through, and you try to pull back, and you can tell everybody had their own agendas. Well, this is a great way, though, to do it in an electronic age and just do it in a Google document, where in this case the authors were on different coasts of the U.S. even as they were working on this. So definitely share this out with any of your teachers that work with students on writing, and encourage students to do some cool collaborative writing using Google Docs. All right, that is it. That gets me to the end of what's new in Google. I don't know, Anthony, did I miss anything? Anybody here? Have you heard of something new that should fit into that other than the show and tell that we're going to see in just a bit? Anything? Any questions or comments on what's new in Google? No? All right.
I missed the one on the Android Drive search, and that's pretty neat. I just did it. It worked fine.
Yes, yeah, that is nice. Anything to move us more toward just being able to interact naturally with our technology. That's fantastic. All right, let's take a quick look at the Q&A. So we did have, it looks like, at least one question here that popped up. And the question was, looking for tips on organizing Google Drive so that the list of files, particularly shared files, is more manageable. Some users just want to see folders, like their drive structure on their computers, or their inbox. Any suggestions? Now, Anthony, I know you brought this up, so I'm going to throw this over to you to give some feedback to them on what you thought might be a good solution there. I do feel their pain, though, while you're getting prepped to share that. I do feel their pain when they say particularly shared files. I know just what you're meaning there. The incoming folder is not very flexible right now. I mean, basically, you go there and here's a list of the things shared with you chronologically, and have at it. You know, I mean, it's not very flexible for sorting and filtering and getting the stuff that you want to find. You can't drag and drop anymore from there. You do have to click the little drive icon to the far right of the shared document and then say add to my drive and then decide where you put it, and that's fine. But I like just dragging and dropping. That was kind of nice in the past. So I definitely feel your pain. I have a feeling the new drive isn't quite completely finished. I'm sure they're going to keep adding more features to it, and I think we kind of probably took a step backwards when it came to the old shared with me. Probably had a little bit more flexibility than what we see now with incoming. So we might be a little stuck on that. But Anthony, let me turn this over to you. Why don't you share what it was your thoughts were for these folks?
Well, first of all, my thoughts are not a great solution, but I just put together a couple things that might help you a little bit. I have over 20,000 documents, so mine's an absolute mess. I'm a good example of not being able to find anything. And I recently went through and spent almost an entire day putting things into folders so I could find them easier. But the two things that will help a little bit that a lot of people don't realize is letter A lets you toggle between list and grid view. Now, both of them have their better purposes. I like grid view when I want to be able to see all my folders at the top and then my documents below, but the documents show up as rather large icons, so that's the downside of it. The positive side is if you don't mind going past your documents and scrolling down, you can see quite a few documents if you use the live view. I'm sorry, the list view. And in the list view, I would also suggest the fact that most of the time I use that little button to the right of the list view to see the most recent documents, because those are usually the ones I'm looking for as opposed to the alphabetical order. And I'm not great about keeping the right keyword in my alphabetical order, so those are helpful. Letter B on that little diagram is the gear on the far right side. And just as in email, you have a density choice. And you can basically make it so that it eats up even more of your screen than it is now by using the comfortable, which I see as ridiculous considering how many files I try and squeeze on the screen. And then the cozy and the compact, and I run compact. I wish it was even a lot more compact. So those are the two things I can offer as solace, but I can't offer a final solution. I'm hoping when that comes about, we can do things like see the files at the top and have the directories, the folders at the bottom, and do a little bit more detail like that, where we could even search for we could even display them the same way we can search for them by including what type of file we want. And by the way, while we're there, why don't you bring up that screen real quick, Eric, and show them that when you're doing a search for a document, you have the option of adding what type of document it is to the search, which is very helpful. So in addition to typing in the name of the document, you can say that it's a spreadsheet or it's a presentation, etc., and that'll help narrow things down a little bit. So Drive's not quite ready to go as far as some features I'd like to see, but those are just a couple little tricks you can use that are helpful. Also want to mention, just because a lot of people don't realize it, you can put a file into more than one folder, because the folders in actuality are labels just like in the email system. So you can actually have a document in two of the files. So if you have a file that you're currently working on, you could have the file there, and you could also have it in where you want it to end up when you're done. So that's another way that you can help organize things. And of course, the incoming files are an absolute mess. But again, you can use that same trick by adding that file to your drive as opposed to viewing it in the incoming. It makes it a lot easier to find it. And that's pretty much my rant on Drive. I'll crawl back into my pack rat.
No, that's well said, though. But you're exactly right. In the incoming, oops, I'm getting the echo again. Sorry. Oh, you got it. In the incoming, when you look at the files that have been shared with you, you can no longer, right? We can't drag and drop them over anymore. But if I hover my mouse above a file, I can go over, and there's the Add to My Drive button. If I give a click on that, it'll pop up a screen where I can decide what folder I want to put that in, or create a new folder, and then hit Move if I actually want to do that move. The only other thing I'd mention besides switching between grid view and list view and comfortable, cozy, compact density, when it comes to searching, don't forget that in file types, forms is not listed as a file type. It's treated with spreadsheets. So when I don't know why they really should break that out separately, but they don't. Forms fall under spreadsheets as well. All right, good stuff. Hopefully that helps a little, but yeah, I feel your pain.
Do you think they'll ever implement any type of thing where you can create rules for your docs? Like I have a lot of teachers that have a lot of things coming in from kids. And they've got 150 some kids.
Yep. That actually is a very common question. And what if anybody didn't hear the question, it's what about creating rules or filters in Gmail? We call them filters, but yeah, rules for incoming documents. That I think would be really slick to say anytime something is shared with me that is from a certain user, automatically move it to my drive and put it in this folder. Anytime something is shared with me that is this kind of a document or uses these certain words or fits whatever criteria, go ahead and automatically file it away. I think that would be really neat. Anthony?
I have, again, a not satisfactory but slightly helpful tip on that. If you spend some time when you first start working with your students and get them all together in the lab and say, create a folder called Mr. Luskery, and then when they create new documents for you, they would open that folder and then create the document. That would automatically have it filtered into a specific folder on your end, and you could have a little bit of that, but again, it requires work on the front end, and it's not exactly what you want. I'd love to see the filtering capability like in email.
All right, let's get back to here and see if I can share this again. All right, share, screen 2. Excellent. There we go. Next up, can you embed the sparklines onto a site? It says with other charts, you can go to Insert Charts to Embed, but haven't tried with sparklines yet. I have not either, but my quick suggestion is going to be that no, it's not a chart. I would not see a sparkline as a unique chart. So if you go to Insert, if you're in Sites, you go to Insert, Drive, Chart, it's going to be looking for probably a pop-out chart that has been created off of a spreadsheet. We can try. We'll have to just try. I don't know. I'm thinking the sparkline, though, since it's embedded in a cell, you'd more likely have to actually embed the spreadsheet into the site because the sparkline is sitting within a cell in the spreadsheet rather than being a chart entity of its own. That's just my guess. We can try it. Yes, go ahead, Anthony.
I think it'll probably work, and I just want to mention to them when you're embedding a spreadsheet, you can play around with the URL for the spreadsheet, and you can adjust it so you can really see certain cells. So you could, for example, have just the row that had the data and then the sparkline at the end of it embedded as opposed to embedding the whole sheet. And you probably could just embed the cell that had the sparkline in it.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you there. I think you're right. It's not going to be inserting it as a chart. It's going to be embedding it as a spreadsheet, but limiting the range down to just the cell or cells that you want to be embedding, so that you can show the sparkline. I'm just guessing there. We do need to try that one out. So no, I have not tried that either, but that's my thought. The next thing, admin console, organizing devices, help. I'm not sure if somebody's asking for us to come to their school and do that for them. No, I don't think so. I know. Expand upon your request there. What is it that you're dealing with?
Well, obviously we're getting hundreds of new devices. We don't have any. I know I need to set up accounts for each device, but how to organize them in groups? I just keep staring. I don't know if I should go like building, then cart, then device, or just carts, because what if we end up moving our carts? Then I have to go and...
Right. Absolutely. I understand what you're saying there. And so what we're talking about is when you have Chromebooks, when you have tablets, when you have any sort of device that you bring in mass, you do need to include them in your Google Apps admin console. So if I were to bring up, let me find... No, you're fine. I'm trying to find my admin console here real quick. Let me bring this on over. And, oh, there's my password. It's dots. You guys saw it. ... All right, so if I come over here and go to Devices and go to Chrome and then go to Devices, you'll see that you're right. You get your normal tree structure here for all your organizations, and typically what we tell people to do is to create some sort of an organization to hold your devices. So I've got one called Chrome OS, for example. I got a bunch of devices thrown into there. But I only have 10. We don't have a bunch. We just have a few sample Chromebooks here. Normally, this ends up then getting broken out into something else, like building, grade level, labs, rooms, stuff like that. So I guess your question is, what's the best way to organize it so that you've got flexibility? Well, I can give a couple of rules of thumb, but I would definitely throw this out to the community at large. If anybody listening to this now or later would like to comment and reply on what your best practices are, what you've figured out works best, now that you've done several years with several thousand devices, what wisdom you learned, I would love to hear from other people. But I guess the key thing is, the reason we put things in organizations is to apply differentiated rules to them. If there's no differentiation, for the most part, it probably doesn't matter. I mean, if everything's treated the same, throw it in one org. Same with users. Do you need to break all your students out, or can you throw them all in a students org? Well, we tend to break them out because sometimes we want the high school kids to have privileges that the elementary don't, or we don't want to push out the same app apps. Maybe the high school students need Desmos graphing calculator, but the elementary students, need Powtoon. Whatever the case might be, we might want to differentiate it. If you don't break users or devices into separate organizations, then you can't apply different rules to them. So I think it comes down to asking yourself, do I need to apply different rules to my devices? Well, your devices, the rules they get, so let's back up a click here. If I go to Chrome and I go to my advanced settings and I go to my devices here, I get these tabs across the top that control things. User settings, public session settings, device settings, shipments, and networks. All of these things under user settings, that has nothing to do with the device. It depends on who logged into it. So that's like what web apps get pushed out to them, what extensions do they get, what happens with safe search, all of that kind of stuff, incognito mode. Device settings, though, these are things that affect the device itself. So that means things like, can you use guest mode on the device? Do you have to be signed in with a certain domain account to get into the device? What does the sign-in screen show? Does it show everybody who's ever logged in with their little thumbnail pictures, or do you have to put in your full username and password? What version of Chrome is it on? What channel? Is it stable? Is it beta? It's those sort of things that get pushed out on the device level. Also, do you want to pop it into kiosk mode, such as if you're doing park assessments? Do you want to jump into single kiosk mode and say, okay, in single kiosk mode, I need to go in and I need to I'll just put in testing because that should bring them up. I want to use the test nav for park or the air secure test. I could add those and say, okay, when this boots up, I want this Chromebook to boot up into single app kiosk mode and launch the test nav app so we can do park testing. Those are the kind of things that are going to be dependent upon the device being in an organization. So that should drive your overall question is, okay, will we need to, when it comes time for park testing, grab a specific cart and for that day push out the test nav app to it? If so, it needs to be broken out into its own organization. Then if you need to be able to grab just that cart. If you say, oh, we're using every single Chromebook in the district, well then, okay, that's fine, but maybe you're really not using every Chromebook in the district. If you said, I'm going to push out the test nav app to everything in Chrome OS, every Chromebook everywhere now must do test nav today. They can't do anything else. So it goes back to knowing what are the features that are controlled on the device level, and what do I need to use it for, and then kind of breaking it down for that. So if you're doing park testing, that's probably going to be one of the big drivers for that. The other thing that can be device specific is networks. So if I go over to my networks tab and I say I want to go to my Chrome OS devices, I can switch between two settings, for users or for devices. So under networks, I can say that certain devices have to attach to certain SSIDs, certain Wi-Fi SSIDs. So I could say, if this Chromebook is in this particular organization, then it must be at my middle school. And my middle school uses a certain SSID, so I want it to automatically connect to that. These Chromebooks are at the high school, and you know what? We broke it out. It's a different SSID at the high school. Well, then I do need to have my Chromebooks in different organizations so that I can apply different network settings to make sure they jump on the appropriate Wi-Fi when they boot up. So that's another reason why you might break them out. So I don't know though. Let me throw that open to anybody here. Anthony, other folks here. If somebody, again, if somebody is watching us live right now and you're like, oh, I've got the answer. Please tell me. Go ahead and throw something in the doc here or something, and I'll pull you into the Hangout, and you can share with us your experience. Or if not, if you're listening later, please let us know, and we'll bring you on a future episode here. Sounds like a show here, a future meeting, and we'll have you share all of your great insight. So, Anthony, yeah, go ahead.
Eric?
Yes.
I came across a third-party app that does some management tools, but for the life of me, I can't remember it, and I can't find it in my email. But I know there are some third-party apps out there that do some special types of inventory control and data reporting on your Chrome OS devices, in addition to the management console. And I'm also guessing that some of those tools that are out there that do the auto location for lost devices and things of that have some tools in them. I cannot remember what the specific tool was. Actually, I think you saw it also. There was some free tools and some paid tools in that add-on device, and I can't remember what it was. Do you remember that?
Well, a couple things come to mind, and yes, you're right. There definitely are paid services out there, but what I may not be thinking the same thing you're thinking of. The first thing that comes to my mind real quick is the add-on of the Chromebook Inventory add-on, and that's an add-on for Sheets. It's by Andrew Stillman, same guy who does all of the, Autocrat and Autocrat and Formule and Doctopus, very good, thank you, all of those. He does Chromebook Inventory. So if you go into a spreadsheet and you go to Get Add-ons and you search for it, you can find the Chromebook Inventory. And basically what it does is you come here and you choose Export Devices. And it almost sounds backwards. You're thinking export. I don't have anything in my spreadsheet. No, it means export devices from your Google Apps console. And so I can come in here and pick the sub-org that I want to export from, or include all of the sub-orgs, and I can pick the date if I want, but I'm just going to export everything. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to dump all of the devices, and we only have 10, we don't really have that many, but it'll dump all of the devices and all their key information about them. And so you can dump everything into a spreadsheet, but then you can go the other direction. You can make changes to it. You can say, oh, I want to put this into a different OU, I want to change this, change that, I want to add some notes to it. Then you go back up to Add-ons, Chromebook Inventory, and you click Update Devices from Sheet, and it goes the other direction then. It takes all the changes you just made and pushes them back up there so that you could put the Chromebooks into a different OU, so you could add different notes to them. So you don't have to go in one by one in the admin console, click each Chromebook, open it up, go into the notes section, type in the notes, close that one out, do another Chromebook. You could put all of that in the spreadsheet and at least push that information back all in mass. So that's a nice tool for a little bit of Chromebook management there. But other than that, I'm not sure. I mean, I use Flash Panel. I don't know if you were thinking of that, Anthony. That's a free tool that helps you manage a lot of stuff in your Google Apps domain. There's also GAM that you can use, Google Apps Manager, which is a command line tool, and that has some Chromebook features as well. But that's what comes to mind, at least at the moment, when I think of that. All right. And again, we'll follow up with that later. I'm sure somebody out there has much better expertise than we do. Calling Brian Ditfell or somebody else out there, maybe they can jump on in a future episode or future meeting and give us some more insight on that. Last one in the Q&A, and then we've got some cool show and tell. What was the $sign at the bottom of your Compose email, Eric? I didn't realize there was one there. Oops, let me go back to here. Ah, there was. Okay. It says send and request money. That's Google Wallet. If you want to be able to send somebody money or request money through Google Wallet, that can be done through Gmail. I don't know why it might be on some screens and not others if people don't have it on theirs, or if you just didn't notice it before, but that's what that is. That's for Google Wallet. I've never used it though, so I don't really know how it functions. I guess I could click on it and see what happens. Kind of scared to click on it. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Oh, okay. So it just goes to Google Wallet. Okay. So send money. Okay, cool. All right. So that's what that was. That was Google Wallet. All right. Well, let's go on into show and tell. If there are other questions, we can swing back around, but I don't want to miss out on some of these really cool things that people wanted to share. So I'm going to start real quick with the predictions, but that hopefully will give Jess time to get all prepped here, and then I'm going to switch over to Jess and let her talk about what she wanted to share. And then I know, Anthony, you had a couple of things about spreadsheets, and we might have a couple other quick things that have started to fill in here. So while we're getting ready for all the cool show and tells, the first one was for Google predictions for 2015. I did ask folks to submit their predictions, and I got a lot of really neat ideas from people. Now, I put my predictions together ahead of time, so I didn't steal anybody else's. I actually put mine together about a week ago before I asked for these, and they ended up not overlapping, so I felt good about that. So I think I've got this up on another screen here. Let me find where did I put my predictions? Hold on. Oh, now I'm not going to be able to find them. Hang on one second. Let me find my... Oh, there they are. I found them. Okay. So let me go ahead and I'll present this and I'll pull it over to the other screen here. There we go. Excellent. Okay. These are some things that I think would be really cool to see in 2015 for Google Apps. Some of them I think are very likely. Some maybe not, but I'm more of a wish list maybe thing than a prediction. And then at the end of this, I've got a list of some of the best ones that other people sent in as well. So a couple things that I think would be pretty cool. Let's see. First of all, in Drive, I predict that Google Drive will add speech to text into all of their editors. So I believe that when you go to Google Documents, there'll be a little button up there that looks like a microphone. You'll click it, you'll just start talking, and it will dictate all of that. You'll dictate it, it'll transfer it into text right there into your document. You won't need an add-on, you won't need an extension, you won't need some kind of crazy other thing, and that'll work in all of their editors. We have it on Android already. We've got it on iPhones already. It's time to bring it to the desktop. I think we need the ability to do that. It'll be great for assistive technology, but it'll also be great for all of us to be able to just speak to Google Docs and have it type for us. So I would predict that coming up this year. In Google Docs specifically, I'm predicting that we will get customizable headers and footers. Have you ever wanted to not have the page number show up on the first page of your Google document? Yeah, like most normal documents don't have page 1 at the bottom of them. You can't turn that off right now, okay? It's either on or it's off. Well, you know, that's one of the areas that's a little bit different between Docs and Word. You can go into Word and say, I want a different footer or page number on odd pages versus even pages. I don't want it on the first page. I believe we'll finally get that update to Docs coming out this year. In Forms, I would love to see new question types that address next generation assessment type items. We've got 9 types of questions in Google Forms already, but we don't really have anything that deals with drag and drop or sequence or click on a certain spot of a picture. Now, I realize it's complicated. I get that. Whatever goes into Forms has to show up in the associated spreadsheet somehow. So what would actually show up? Well, I guess it'd be like if it was click on a part of a picture that you're supposed to indicate the capital of a country or something. It would probably, I'm guessing, put the XY coordinates of where you clicked. That's what would show up in the spreadsheet. Well, you clicked that 201 by 187, over and down, and that's what would show up. If you sequenced things, I'm guessing it would somehow have to put in the spreadsheet, the order that they eventually wound up in. So there is that whole issue of, well, what actually goes into the spreadsheet? Something has to go there, and next generation items I know do present a challenge, but I believe Google's up to the challenge, and I think it would be fantastic to see Forms allow us to do more of those interactive type questions. In Google Slides, I think we're going to get add-ons. We've got add-ons for Docs, we've got add-ons for Sheets, we've got add-ons for Forms. I think it's time that we get add-ons for Slides. I don't know what they would be. I'm not exactly sure, but I think that'd be fantastic if we could have add-ons for those. So I look forward to that. In Classroom, this was a really popular topic for predictions. The one that I predicted, nobody else mentioned, so I felt glad about that. I'm not stealing their thunder. I think we're going to get a full grade book in there. And what I mean by full grade book, I don't mean like incredibly powerful, but what I mean is like actually a grade book that even exists. Because right now, if you're a teacher and you want to see all of the assignments and who has filled out which ones, and who has not submitted them, and what grades they got, There's no one happy screen to click that just shows you all the kids in your class, a grid next to it, all the assignments, grades or missing or something like that. That needs to happen so that you're not scrolling around like crazy trying to figure out, well, who didn't turn in an assignment and which ones have I and haven't I graded yet. I think a gradebook page would be easy for them to do and a very natural next step. That would be an interactive gradebook page. Chrome. I think we're going to get full support for Android apps in Chrome. We've already got quite a few Android apps making their way over to the Chrome browser, but it's only ones that are getting kind of officially approved by Google. But things like, I'm going to forget all of them now. I'm going to forget all of them now. I'm trying to think. There's a list of about 12 or 15 of them that we've seen over the last couple of months that you can take a classic Android app and you can run it completely inside of the Chrome browser. And I think those are all proof of concepts that this can be done. So I think we're not too far from Google just saying, okay, it works, guys, and now if you install this app, everything works. And we'll be able to open up the entire library of the hundreds of thousands of Android apps right into the Chrome web browser, which is going to be really great for people buying Chromebooks that are touchscreen, which is going to become more and more popular, I'm sure, because then you can really take advantage of the touch nature of a lot of Android apps. Google Plus, I think we're going to see Google Plus being less of a requirement for things. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Google Plus. You won't find a bigger advocate. I absolutely love it. I've used it since the day it first came out. The thing I don't like about it is that too many things are tied to it that you can't do without a Google Plus account. They've got some awesome tools in Google Plus that barrier is there. Somebody says, I don't know if I want a Plus account. I don't really need another social media thing, so they can't get to those things. Or it's a school setting and the school hasn't turned on Google Plus, or the students are under 13, or whatever the case might be. Well, they've started to relax this. We're starting to see now that is not always the case. Earlier this year, Hangouts got decoupled from Google+. So now anybody can do a Hangout just with a regular Gmail account. I'm like, oh, that's a precedent. So I think other things like Google Photos. Google Photos is awesome. Now, some of you still use Picasa Web, and that's a very nice tool too. And there's things about Google Photos that's not quite the same, but there's things that are way better. Well, it's currently attached to Google+. I think that will get decoupled so that anybody with a Google account can use Photos. Hangouts on Air. Why not? That's one of the few things. You can do a Hangout with a Gmail account, but you can't do a Hangout on Air. You can't broadcast it or record it without a Google+ account. I don't see why that's the case. All you need is a YouTube account. As long as you have a YouTube account, it's going to be saved somewhere. Why have Google+? I think it's just a little incentive still to try to get people to move over to Google+. I'd rather see that decoupled so anybody can do a Hangout on Air. And communities. Why can't you join a community if you don't have a Google Plus account? I realize there's posting and there's all that kind of stuff in there, but I don't see why you couldn't still just use a regular Google Apps account or a Gmail account to join a community. I would say Google Plus really should, in the end, turn into basically Twitter or Facebook. It's going to be a way to post and share things and have circles. That's fantastic, but I do believe we're going to see more and more of these awesome tools get decoupled from it so more people can take advantage of them. And this is my last one, my last prediction. I believe that Google will launch their free MOOC creation and hosting tool finally. This is not much of a prediction in that they were supposed to do this already this year back in the summer, and it never happened, but I haven't given up hope. I do believe that they are going to make this happen eventually. Google has partnered with edX. They claimed that they're going to roll out a free MOOC design and hosting tool at mooc.org. If you go there, it just has a little welcome information, but nothing's there yet other than a little bit of information. And it'll be a way to create massively online open courses that people can enroll in and take. And it'll be I believe, very powerful MOOC LMS system that uses a lot of the really awesome edX tools. So I'm hoping to see that come out this year. In addition to my predictions, we did get a lot of submitted predictions from folks. I cannot go through all of them, but I picked out a couple that I thought were really awesome or good ideas. First of all, Classroom was the big one. Everybody had something to say about Classroom. So people believe Hangouts will get integrated into Classroom. They believe that you'll be able to invite people to your classes that are outside of your domain. Right now, you can only have students in a class if they are also within your same domain. People think that's going to get opened up so students from other schools could enroll in classes from different domains. Multiple teachers per class for co-teaching, and embedding your Google Calendar into Google Classroom so it's all right in there. You don't have to go out somewhere else to see it. Thanks to Derek Kaufman, Pete Moran, Nikki Sattler, and Tiffany, who did not give me a last name. It might be the pop icon Tiffany from the 80s. I'm not sure, but I'm going to assume that it was, since she did not use her last name. She certainly follows my posts. Next up, a few more. Cindy Wilson-Hyde thought we should get narration in Google Slides. Hey, I'm with you there. That would be fantastic. That's something you've been able to do in PowerPoint for a long time. You can do it in other online tools. Powtoon allows narration in those slideshows that you create with that. Why not Google Slides? I'm with you, Cindy. Great idea. Nigel King said, how about a full table of contents feature in Docs that actually has page numbers and all the fancy stuff that you would expect with a real table of contents? Yeah, I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense. Right now we have a table of contents feature, but it pretty much just gives you the headers, but it doesn't give you all the nice page numbers and all that kind of stuff. Next up, how about, oh, these three all came from the same person. When you copy a document, the ability to copy comments along with the document, not just the document itself. Having drawing tools built into Google Docs rather than being a separate tool. Now, I like that idea. Instead of having to open up a drawing tool, build something, and bring it back in, being able to just draw right in the document like you can on slides, because you can do it already on slides. That would be great in Docs. And then apparently there was an add-on or a script in the past called Sort Form that disappeared when we moved from scripts to add-ons, and this person would like them back, and this is all from Casey Z. Casey would like to see all of these. So hopefully some of these things will actually happen this upcoming year. I would really be excited if that would be the case. So those are my predictions. I'm going to have Jess come up here, though, because she wanted to talk about a neat new tool that dealt with scheduling labs, and while she is doing that, that'll give everybody else another chance to see if there's anything else they wanted to share. We are coming dangerously close up to the 2-hour mark, so we're not going to go a whole lot longer. And if we don't get to quite everything, definitely check out the notes in the agenda for things that we don't get to, but we are going to try to keep this close to the 2-hour mark. So at this point, let me see if I can find the screen we had for you. Was this it? Let me see. Well, I'll let you find it here.
I just need a new sheet.
You just need you just need a new sheet. That's all you needed. Okay. Well, then I'm going to grab that for you, and I'm going to drag this on over, and you are good to go.
All right. I came across this yesterday, and I was really excited because I've been trying to figure out how we're going to sign out all of our carts coming. We have like 20 carts, and I know I've spoken to a couple of you in this room already about how you do it, and you use Google Sheets and you create a sign out calendar through that, and this add-on does all of the back-end work for you. It sets it up, and it's not based on time, it's based on periods or blocks or whatever you want it to be based on. So in our building, everybody's on a different time schedule, so this will just be sort of a quicker way to do it. So if you go to the lab scheduler add-on, you can just click to add a lab, and then you just fill in whatever requirements you need. You can create how many days you want it to do, so if you just want to do it by month, you can do it for the whole year. So we'll just do one by month, and then you just add your time frames or periods. And then it also gives you the option to save this as a default for new labs, so if you're going to create a lot of the same calendar, you can keep that. And when you go to add lab, it does the days of the week for you and creates all of your periods, so you don't have to sit there and tediously create those. So I was like, yes, now I'll be using this, because that was what was stopping me from doing it. I just didn't have all the time. So That was my.
So in a case like this, they're going to be scheduling on the spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not
And then I
using-
can just share the spreadsheet with who needs it. Like we have cards, they're shared by the 6th grade teachers. I'll share with 6th grade teachers instead of open source resource calendars that are starting to get bogged down and conflicting and confusing for everyone. This is just kind of streamlining it.
Absolutely. It's all about finding the right tool for your need. And in this case, you're typically scheduling these for a whole day at a time,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, you got periods too. I
No,
see.
they can
Oh,
do.
You can't do periods.
Yes, I
So you
think
can't.
I'm going to break
A
it
lot
down
of
by
times with-
period.
Okay, you can do it by period. A lot of times with carts, I know that can be a problem because moving them from one end of the building to another. So
Mhm.
sometimes, but you can type in whatever. It doesn't
You
have
can
to be a
type in
period.
whatever you
It could be
want.
like AM, PM,
Yes.
or it
yes.
could be just all day.
It could be block 1,
I
morning,
gotcha.
afternoon,
Perfect,
however.
perfect.
That's why I like that.
And so you just tell it how many days you want, and it goes out from today, fills them all in, skips the
Mhm.
weekends. You share that out with folks, and then they can come to this calendar, see what's been claimed, pick what they want, and of course revision history tracks everything. So if somebody decides they're going to remove somebody and claim that spot, we can always go back and see who did it and what it used to be.
Yes.
So
So,
very nice
What's the
find.
log sheet down
I
there?
don't know.
Did that script make that sheet?
No, I don't know. I
There's
didn't even
nothing
notice.
in it right now, so I wonder.
Let's see.
Wonder what happens with the log. If it means as you fill something in, does it track it, or does it? No, nothing's happening there. Huh? I don't know. Be curious to see what
Yeah. I
what
don't
the
know.
log one does. All right. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. This add-on is written by Bjorn Barrett. Bjorn is an awesome guy. He's the one who does G-Class folders for anybody who has used that before, and it's another fantastic offering from Bjorn. So good stuff there. All right. With just a few minutes left here, let me see what else we have on here. Anthony, I know you wanted to mention something quickly about Google Sheets exclusive tools, but you also, I know, wanted to say, at least plug the fact about your Advent calendar, since we still have time for people to jump in on that. So let me turn that over to you, and why don't you share with folks about those items?
Okay, Eric, I'm going to skip through part of the exclusive apps because you already showed the sparkline. Just let me mention one, and they can dig on their own, and then we'll add that for another topic. But they have a lot of tools in Google Spreadsheets to do web operations, scraping web pages, updating data in a website, data in a spreadsheet from a website. So I won't go through all those today, but we'll do that for another time. And what I want to do next is show the calendar real quick. Make sure I'm sharing the right one.
All right, I'm going to put you up on the screen here.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. You're good.
Okay. The calendar that you're seeing right now is an Advent calendar, typical of Advent calendars, where as the days go by, you see different little windows open. And what I've done in this, let's see if we can scroll down here a little bit. Come on. I have to go back over here real quick and scroll down. You'll notice that up until today, all the pages are open. We still have a few we're waiting for, but those pages are covered, and they're covered by the use of a couple tools. One is the Today tool, the Today function, which finds today's date, subtracts one from it, and that tells it then for all the if statements, which are the second function used. For the if statements, it tells it to remove and change what's on each of the three screens to the right of the date. And then the other thing it's used is conditional formatting, so that it colors them red and green, or just shows the colors after the thing is displayed. So the main three functions that are being used are the if, today, and the conditional formatting. One other function that's being used is the hyperlink function and the concatenation function. So both of those are also being used to generate the links that you see in the upper, on the far right side to get to the calendar pages. Now what I've done is I'm going to show you real quick here. I'm going to flip back to the other calendar. This is the other calendar, and it is the part that you don't see to the right. And that's where all the work takes place on this calendar. So I've shared this calendar so you can go through and look at it yourself and see how some of the tools work. The reason why I wanted to show this today is not so much because it's a Christmas calendar, but the fact that you can use time release of data on a spreadsheet so that you could have students work through a process, and each day they would see another set of links, they would see another set of instructions, and they would come up automatically at the turn of the day or however you choose to do it. You could even do it by hour if you wanted to. So that's the little show and tell on the calendars. And I'm sure we might have questions on that, but because we don't have much time, they're going to have to send those directly to me. The other thing I wanted to show real quick was just something for break. And of course this page is way too large, so let me shrink it down a little bit. This page is something I call Learn Something New Every Day, and it's basically just a lot of links on sites where people can go and find out how to do something. Things like eHow, science projects for kids, and as you go down the list, it covers a wide variety of items. We get into the arts, we get into literature, we get into mechanical, and we even get a little bit of gardening and a little bit of cooking as we get near the end. So this is just a site full of links that are things that you can have students do in a self-directed manner. So I thought this might be something good to send a link home with your students this week, or send them a link. And then also this might be good for your own children at home when they get bored, because of course they always get bored near the end of break once they've worn out all the Christmas toys. So I just thought this might be something to share with you. And of course it's available all year round. That's it.
All right, that's awesome. Let me go ahead and switch back over here. Right, there we go. And I'm going to share my screen one last time to pop back over to the agenda, because we're not going to have time to really dig too deep into these, but I at least wanted to draw people's attention to, under the show and tell, I do see that we've got information in here about the Awesome Tables gadget, a quick and easy way to display pie charts, word clouds, maps, etc. with a sheet full of data. And this comes to us from the GEG in Northern Virginia. So welcome, Northern Virginia, GEG. I'm glad you guys, at least somebody is plugged in there today. I did go to the site to try to open it. It did not load for me, so I'm not sure if I've done something wrong or if at the moment there's something giving us an issue with that gadget. But this is a Google Sites gadget that gives you some more flexibility when it comes to embedding spreadsheets. I have seen it used. It is very nice. I actually do use it on on my apps user group site. I do have it in use. So that would be one I think we should revisit in the future. So whoever submitted that from GEG Northern Virginia, I'd love to have you pop into next month's meeting if you'd like to. Just connect with me and I'll get you an invite for that, and we can have you share that. We'd love to have you. It's always the third Friday of the month. If you can join us live, that'd be fantastic. We'd love to have you there. We do see a little bit of an addendum here. Apparently the log table with the lab scheduler, it says it populates the next day. So tomorrow if we go to the log, we should see the reservations that were made for today. So that apparently is what the log table does, is it gives you information about what got scheduled previous to that. All right, guys. Well, we are. Oh, try it now. Okay. See, we're live here. Let's try it now. Oh, there we go. The Awesome Tables gadget is now up and running. So you can see what you've got here is a spreadsheet, but you get a lot more functionality in here. We've got a spot to choose your full name, what city and state you live in, what role you play, and then it will filter that down based upon it. I'm assuming it was Derek who shared this. So excellent, Derek. I really appreciate you doing that. And it looks like if I head on further, there's a couple of other tabs. Well, oh my goodness. So we've got a word cloud even embedded in here. Now, see, I'm starting to like that. That's nice. Got some neat little sub-reports there, and then we've got an awesome tables-cards section as well. All right. So,
Eric?
yes, Anthony.
If you flip to my screen just real quick, I use Awesome Tables to embed my searching sites, and one of the nice things is you can use the filtering feature of spreadsheets to be able to choose a specific area. So if you just wanted to see the the search sites that were for kids, for example, you could simply go in and change this under column A to kids, and it will magically transform the displayed spreadsheet into a filtered spreadsheet. That's it.
All right. Very good then. So, oops, there we go. Let me get back to me here, and yeah, there we go. All right. So, Derek, thanks again for mentioning that, and that might be something we'd love to dig into a little bit deeper in the future. All right, guys. Well, as always, thank you so much, especially on a slippery December day, to join us here. Join us again next month, third Friday of the month. We'll continue with that schedule. Please make sure you fill out the attendance form for today so you get your certificate. If you ever miss any of these, just go to our Spark Google resource page where you can find previous recordings of meetings, as well as schedules for upcoming meetings and agendas and all of that great stuff. Wish everybody happy holidays and be safe, and I hope you get all the great things you're hoping to get. And a lot of them are googly, and that we have a great start to 2015. Anthony, I see you've got your tie up there. Very good.
Well, up north here, Santa's already arrived. So if you would have came up north, you would have seen Santa up here.
Oh, very good. Excellent. Well, as always, everybody, thank you so very much, and have a fantastic break. Hope you guys get a nice, relaxing one. Take care, everybody.